Hey YouTube, just a quick video of my bass amp. If you've been watching the channel, you know I bought this, I don't know, a month ago, 2 months ago. Instead of, I did a gig with the Black Sabbath band using this, which is a 4x10, a 1x15 and a 400 watt bass head Marshall. You can't see the top of it in this video, but you see the top of it in every other video, because everybody wants a 6 foot high Marshall, obviously. But just for pure practical reasons, I bought this. It turned out to be an awful lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. It was basically just for in the house, because you can't turn this thing on because it's just too loud. So this I got for a very good price. I just done the local Gumtree thing. It's Facebook Marketplace, and not really paying that much attention to what it was. I did read that it said it a 15-inch speaker, but I didn't realise it was 150 watt 15-inch. So it's a gigging amp. So I've done some modifications to it, not inside the amp because I don't want to get blown up. One of the reasons I like this amp so much is partly the size. It's this one here is much deeper. It fits in my Panda, my car, but you have to unbolt the rear seats, as it's only 4 bolts, 2 bolts on either side. Then you can actually take out the sort of back bit of the back seat, and then it fits in, but it doesn't fit in without that. Both of them. But this one, because it's not as deep, this I can just stick this on the back seat, so it's much easier. So modifications, I just splashed out and bought the expensive knobs for it. They weren't really that expensive. I can't remember how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I paid about £7.50, £8, something like that. You know, they weren't £1 each, but they weren't much more than that. From a guy on eBay down in, for some reason, South Shields rings a bell. Somewhere in England anyway. And these are not official Marshall knobs, but they do have the wee grub screw on the back of them, which Marshalls don't have. They've just got this has just got the D-shaped shaft on the pots. So these could fit to, well, they fit to the D shape because you get the wee screw on it, or they fit on, you know, your splined shafts like the way a guitar pot would be. So I figured they just look much better. I had 2 original ones, and I was sitting there and I was thinking of putting chicken head on and all this stuff, but didn't do much for that. It's got a metal grill on it, and since I took it into the studio and made sure it was loud enough to gig with, and it is, I mean, you do have to have it sort of up at, not full bung, but there's a possibility of getting this up full bung, whereas this thing, you know, if you put that up full bung, I think you would just pass out. It's got this, it does a similar sort of thing to that, where it doesn't really seem to be that loud. You're like, oh, this doesn't really sound that loud, because it goes really, really loud before it starts sounding different, if you know what I mean. It just sounds the same at talking volume as it does at making your brain bleed volume. It's like a very, very clean headroom. The reason I liked this one so much, and it became a gigging, it was basically just going to be a sitting in the corner of the room amp, but it became a gigging amp because I really like the way it's set up. The controls on it are basically exactly the same as what's on the Marshall, which you can't see in this video. So you've got like you get 2 inputs, like an active and a passive. You get a gain, which is the same as that. Then you get a preamp blend, so it's actually got a valve in it, so you can have it all the way to solid state, or all the way to valve, or somewhere in the middle. I just put it to valve because valves are better, aren't they? I don't really think basses need valves the way a guitar amp does. I don't think it makes anything like as much difference to a bass, because you just kind of want a clean bass sound. And you've got like a primary EQ, so a bass and a treble, and then you've got a deep and a bright button, which is the same as what's on this, which I keep pointing to even though you can't see it. 5-band, 7-band EQ, and then volume, and a limiter. Well, there's a compressor and a limiter, and then effects loop, a line out, an earth lift button, something to do with the DI box. It's got a DI box on the front. Yeah, so I just thought this is great gigging size. So it's also got a metal grill. So I took the metal grill off, taped it up with masking tape, and then cut out a Stanley knife blade, or drew on it and then cut out the after the end, which is my Black Sabbath band's logo, and stuck it on. You can't really see it there, but that's purple and that's grey. So it's basically, that's just grey primer. So I primed the whole lot, and then I put a bit of cardboard over that bit, painted that bit purple, and then lacquered it a few coats and then peeled it off, and I think it looks pretty good. It's a wee bit it seems to go up a wee bit higher on this end, but actually, if you look at the actual logo from the band, it kind of does that anyway. So it's not an exact replica, but it's definitely, it looks the part. My main problem is this is the only handle on this amp. So just this morning I got handles here and here. These were really cheap on eBay. I'm not sure how much I 100% trust them. I was expecting, normally if you can see this one, I don't know if you can see where the rubber's kind of worn off, there's a metal bit behind the rubber. These handles don't have it. I think it was they were like £3 for the two of them though, so I can't really grumble. And I've tried as hard as I can to pull it off, and it's not pulling off, so it can take my whole weight. So I think it should be all right. Also, I installed these handles on the side, and you may notice I didn't put them in the middle. That's because that's where the balance point is of the amp, because the speaker's at the front, which I always remember noticing with these cabinets. The handle's in the middle, which means that they're always weighted towards the front. So I just guessed, and they worked out alright. These handles were cheap as well. These were, I think it was like £4 for the two of them. You didn't get screws with any of these things. So for this one I had to jigsaw out the shape behind it, put it in. But it's nice having the, I'd rather have too many handles than not enough. Even if I don't end up using them. But these will be handy for putting in and out the car. And the other thing we notice is the fact that I can spin it around like this because I put wheels on it. Which I can tilt it up to show you. You're not going to see them. These are heavy duty wheels that have got a brake on them, each one. You push that down and it locks it. It doesn't just lock it from turning, it also locks it from rotating. So that's really, they were good wheels for an amp. They were heavy duty ones. I think it was 200 kilograms they took or something like that. That's like a person. They were like £9 or something like that. So it's like, as far as modding goes, I've not really done that much. I've not done any internal mods or anything like that. I've just put handles on it and wheels and painted it and new knobs. And looking forward to gigging this soon. The thing which I think is missing from this amp, which I've asked about but I've not done anything about, is it doesn't have any sort of speaker output on the back. It's just got this cable here. It's just hardwired into the amp onto the speaker. Whereas I think it would be dead handy if it did have a speaker output. I'm just thinking if I'm playing gigs, quite often venues have like a bass cabinet there, so folk can turn up with one of these wee mini size of a VHS tape amps. You maybe get an 8x12 or something, an 8x10 or something sitting there. So I thought it'd be really nice if I could had the option to be able to plug this amp into like whatever, if there's another speaker cabinet there. But things start messing up a little bit when you do that, because there's obviously the ohmage ratings for this speaker or for this amp. So if you wanted to run two speakers off it, there's jiggery pokery and things might blow up. So I decided not to do that. I'm still not 100% down that I'm not going to just basically break into that cable that goes to the speaker and then just put a jack and a socket on it so that I can actually disconnect the internal speaker and then plug it into something else. But just in case there's a bigger cabinet on stage. But I think I'm kind of defeating the purpose a little bit. I kind of like the idea of having the 15-inch speaker and running it up at full bung rather than having, if I'm playing somewhere big, I could take the monster cabinet. I always found that I used to play when I was in the last band I was in 20 years ago. I used to, when I was playing smaller places, I would just take the 1x15 because the 1x15 sounds a bit boomy and bassy, and the 4x10's dead punchy. So whatever one, if you use one of them, whatever it is, you're either a bit boomy and bassy or a bit too punchy. So in the middle. So ideally, you need to have both. I mean, ultimately, you want both. You want 10s and 15. But I used to take that one purely because it weighs an awful lot left in that, because that's a 15-inch speaker with one, the heavy bit of the speaker is a big magnet on the back of it. That's got 4 big massive magnets in it, so that weighs 1.5 times what that one does. But also for the Sabbath stuff we're doing, Geezer Butler has a very woolly, muddy sound anyway, boomy, which is, if 15 sounds better. I was in Pirate Studios in Glasgow a month ago, and all they had was a 4x10 cabinet, and I found it very, very punchy, like too much punchiness. I had every dial on it that said anything that even remotely resembled treble at nothing, just to try and take away the top end, which would be fantastic for playing, I don't know, Flea or level 42 or something like that. But that's not Sabbath. So I think I'll probably be taking this to the next gig. We're playing, I can't remember the date. I think it's the 11th of April with the Scorpions, and I might take this. Apart from the fact it'll look really cool on stage, having the band logo on my amp. I noticed the drummer Rob has the band logo on his kick drums, but he's got like two, and he missed the opportunity of just having after and then the end on this one. He's got after the end written in both of them. And I was thought, if you're going to have two, you want it to be split up. You know what I mean? You can never beat the original Black Sabbath one. And is it Paris? They're playing, and it's like got a dodgy connected light bulb, and someone's just written Black Sabbath on the kick drum and get insulating tape, I think. And then when he taps it, the kind of light bulb sort of flickers on and off, sort of like with a bad connection. I think that's it's not obviously not as cool as that, but I never thought of putting lights on it. These things are interesting, but this amp so far seems to be absolutely brilliant, and this one was bloody cheap. If anyone knows how much these cost new, I've got a feeling it might have been a really expensive amp, and I don't know how much this was new either. I know what I paid for it like 20 years ago, and this is a sort of, the base state would be like a budget version of the dynamic bass system, or I think it's a couple of years after, but it's a sort of budget version of this, and I'd only been 150 watts. I'm not sure if the bass states go any bigger than this. I think this might be the top of the range. Sort of, I don't want to say budget, because it's still a Marshall, But I mean, a lot of people don't like Marshall bass amps. I do. I mean, for me, it's like I'm happy with them. That was the best amp I'd ever played through. When the studio said they were selling that, I was like, that's the one I want. I used to fight to get into room 1 in the practice pad, because that was the amp that was in room 1. And then 6 months later, or a year later, whatever it was, I was saying, I'm going to buy an amp for gigging. I was like, what's the thing? I was like, obviously that would be my absolute dream amp, but there was no way I could ever afford one of them. They were like $2,000 or something like that. And the guy's like, I'm having to sell that Marshall. I was like, what, the good one? Why? Because everyone complained about it. People wanted to use the Ampegs, and for me the Ampegs never had any character. But then again, it depends what it is you're trying to push through, what you want to sound like. I mean, for me, John Edmundson used guitar amp. It's like the sort of 70s stuff. They didn't really get bass amps as such. I mean, you see Deep Purple playing, and they've got like Marshall stacks, and it's like one of the Marshall stacks is for the John Lord keyboard, and then two of the Marshall stacks are for Ian Gillan to sing through. And the bass amp's just another. They're all just 100-watt Marshalls or 200-watt Marshalls. That's it. Amp makes it louder. So all that stuff I thought sounded amazing. So yeah. So looking forward to taking this into the studio with wheels, and obviously if I go for the complete after the end setup, I've got my Geezer Butler bass. That could be my. Oh, actually, I was hoping that we Duke it there would be quite enough to hold it, but it's not quite. Well, maybe. Yeah. So there's my after the end rig. You hear this amp all the time. Every time I play a bass, it normally sits on the wall behind me. There, which, let's be honest, it's not a lightweight thing, and it's pretty big when you try to manoeuvre it about. So I've still got to lift it up in there, which is a bit of a pig, but that's what it is. So yeah, so I didn't even play anything in this video at all. I just talked about amplifiers, and I think 150 watt is big enough to gig pretty much anywhere, especially since it's got the DI on it. Not every venue's going to have a DI box anyway, but you get away with this playing a pub if it wasn't going through the PA. For most bands, and the Sabbath band are bloody loud. Craig, the guitarist, got like a 50 watt, a similar idea to the Sovtech, and he has to run it at full bung because you've got to open up all the taps, and this thing is just absolutely blasting all the time. So I've had my work cut out to try and be as loud as him, but this seems to do it. One thing I did notice actually the other day was, see when I was carrying it, I'd knocked all these up, and that gives it an incredible boost to the volume. You know, if you're struggling for volume with this particular setup and this amp, these are plus 15 decibels, so you can just for plus 15 decibels the whole thing if you just slide all the sliders to the top. That's one of the things that's missing from. In fact, it's about the only thing that's missing from this amp compared to the dynamic bass system. It's got a switch that turns the graphic equalizer on and off that you can operate with a foot switch, which this one doesn't have. So you can't. Well, that's really about it. I think it's got an extra. It's also got a DI pre and post button, which this one doesn't have, and it doesn't have the effects unit on the front. The effects unit on that one's on the back, and I think there might be a few more options, but certainly not any options I've ever used. Yeah, so look, I really want to take this somewhere just because it's wheels and see I'm enjoying just wheeling that about. That's so much easier than having to carry it, and also having handles on it means that I can get other people to help me carry it when you've only got one, which is a stupid design. It's like the only way you could carry it before is like you employ the. You're not going to see my face here, but you hold on to the handle and you employ the attaching it to your leg like this, and then kind of walking like that. Is how you know you kind of like sort of like operating a wheelbarrow, but it's so much easier. It's got handles on it now. Yeah, plenty of options. Anywho, rock and roll.